Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm talking about the housing market. Should you buy a house in this housing market? How can you buy a house in this housing market? People are paying 10, 15, 20% over asking in this market. So how can you get a good deal and not overspend? And we're also going to talk about why the housing market is still crazy in mid-2021. And by the end of the video, I will tell you what I think is the best method of buying a house, especially in this kind of market. So definitely stay tuned until the end of the video. Okay, so let's get into the video. So why is the housing market still this crazy in mid-2021 when everything is seemingly starting to get back to normal? Well, this goes back to supply and demand that we've talked about over and over on this channel. Since the pandemic, everyone has been changing the way they work. People that used to go into the office every day are now able to work from home permanently. So this opens up an opportunity for people to move outside of these big cities and get out into a single family house that they may have wanted to buy forever. So home buyers that are in the mid to upper income ranges have really driven demand way higher for homes outside of the city. But if that wasn't enough, since the pandemic started, supply has been much lower than average before. However, we are getting back to more normal supply numbers. However, with the demand so high, it's really going to take a long time for supply and demand to equal out where the market is more stable. The supply issue is not a new issue. Since around 2012, there has been a low supply of new homes on the market. This means the number of new homes being built every year has been lower than the growth of the population in America. And this is another reason why housing prices are going up so quickly and there's no sight of it slowing down. And with lumber prices making it so costly to build, it's going to take even longer for supply to get back to where it used to be. And I'm talking about back in pre-2012 times. This was when the number of homes being built every year was actually more than the growth of the population. So we had the opposite effect going on prior to 2012. And some estimates suggest that it could be 5 to 10 years or more just for supply and demand to kind of equal out. And with these facts all combined, I am very confident that there's not going to be a major housing crash in the near future. And of course, housing prices increasing by 10 or 20% every year is certainly not sustainable long term. I do think that housing prices will go back to around 5 to 8% year over year increase, but I don't see any decrease coming in the near future. So if you're on the market to buy a new house, you may be wondering, should you buy a new house this year or should you wait and buy a house later on? So one of my recent videos talked about this. Should you buy a house in 2021? For me, when I looked at the data, the short answer would be yes. In most cases, you should buy a house if you're able to and you can afford it. Because housing prices will always increase year over year long term. If you look at housing prices today compared to 20 years ago, you'll see a trend that even though in 2008, 2012 we had a housing crash where prices crashed, on average the prices are still much higher today than they were 20 years ago. On average, housing prices always recover long term. So if you're buying a house to stay in for long term, then you're usually going to be okay as long as you don't sell at the bottom of the market. But you might be saying, well, I've been trying to buy a house for the last year and everyone's outbidding me, paying way more than I can afford, or just paying cash for houses. And you may be also looking at the fact that interest rates have been so low that it makes you want to buy a house even more before they go back up. And to be honest, I pretty much agree. As long as you can get a good deal on a house and you're not overpaying like 50% on a house, then I think it is a great idea to get invested in a house as soon as you can. I'm not one that would ever suggest that you should just wait it out and hope that prices have a crash or something like that. However, one thing to keep in mind about interest rates is that when interest rates go up, generally housing prices come down by about 10 times what the interest rate went up. So if the interest rate goes up by 1%, then generally housing prices will come down about 10% on average. This just basically means that the payment that you're paying each month is going to be about the same. However, when interest rates are higher, more of that is going to go to interest versus principal. But whether or not a home purchase makes sense for you, again, is going to come down to your own situation. But here's the number one thing that you need to have and able to get a good deal in this housing market. Patience. If you're not patient and you just bid as much as you can on a house because you are just getting tired of bidding over and over, then most likely you're going to pay way too much for a house today. Work with your realtor to find out what a good deal on this house may be and just keep putting in reasonable offers on a house. Eventually, you're going to get a house. It may just take a while. So you need to be ready and be patient with buying a house. Patience has always been important when buying real estate. However, today it's even more important. The market is going to cool down and you are going to be able to buy a house. So don't be in a rush when you're buying in 2021 or even in 2022. And just one last tip on how to get a good deal on real estate. Avoid buying houses that have been completely renovated. This is because you're going to pay a premium for all of the renovations that have been done, compared to if you just have the renovations done on your own. A lot of times, if you're handy, you can also do some of the renovations yourself, cutting down on the costs. But in general, when you buy a house that's been completely renovated, you're going to pay a good premium because of those renovations. This is for a couple of reasons. One, the person that did the renovations is going to want to profit on their renovations. The second thing is that it's going to attract more home buyers that are looking for move-in ready homes that don't need any work at all. So something that I suggest to everyone buying a house, whether it's in 2020 or in 2030, is don't buy a renovated house or even a brand new build unless you have the extra money to spend. But if you're trying to get a good deal on real estate, buying a used older home is a much better deal in general. You of course have to know the numbers for your own situation, but in general you're going to come out with more profit potential. And a lot of times making simple upgrades to a house like painting or putting in new kitchens or things like that are much cheaper than you would expect. But one note is that also depends on the finishes that you put in. You can also just look for a house that was renovated in the last 10 years or so, and you're still going to usually get a pretty good deal on that as well. So you don't have to buy a complete rundown house to get a good deal. But if you do want a fixer-upper, that's also a good way to make sure you're not overpaying too much and you're also insulating yourself to future market shifts. So yeah, while buying a house this year may not be the easiest thing in the world, you will make it through, you will buy the house that you want, and the right house will be yours. So just be patient, take it easy, and do your research when buying. So anyways, I hope this video was helpful. I hope this shed some insight into the housing market, what I think, and then maybe help you also decide on what to do in your situation. If you enjoyed this video, definitely smash the like button down below. Subscribe if you're interested in real estate related videos or other personal finance related videos. I make videos on a regular basis and I'll be putting out a lot of content over the next couple of months. So with that, thank you for watching this video and see you next time.